Well, the Magners League takes a 6-week hiatus after this weekend's action, and tonight we'll decide whether it's the Ospreys or Munster who sit top of the table until the battle lines are redrawn in late February. The festive period, well, it couldn't have been more different for these two. Ospreys recorded derby wins over the Scarlets and then the Blues. Munster lost to Connacht before being handed a 5-try thumping by Ulster in that match last week at Thomond Park. Well, the visit of the European champions hasn't prevented Sean Hawley from sticking to his policy of squad rotation. Ryan Jones, Tommy Bowe, Adam Jones, Gavin Henson, Ian Goff all missed tonight. But the Ospreys are boosted by the return from injury of World Player of the Year Shane Williams and also James Hook, who partners Mike Phillips in a potentially menacing half-back pairing. Well, behind the scrum, the Ospreys look as dangerous as ever, but against a huge Munster pack tonight, it's up front where they'll need to step up to the plate. Big night then for Jonathan Thomas, who plays out of position in the second row, and for Smith, Tandy and Tia Tia, who face a bruising battle around the fringes. Well, the defeats to Connacht and Ulster may have left a bad taste in the mouth for Munster over the holidays, but they've been literally sick to their stomachs this week. Keith Earls, Marcus Horan, Tony Buckley, Niall Ronan among those laid low by a virus. No Ronan O'Gara either, so Paul Warwick will continue to deputise at number 10. Lots of the marquee names are back though for Munster tonight, including Paul O'Connell, Dennis Leamy and Tomás O'Leary, who've all shaken off injuries. Munster were very much second best against Ulster. The presence though of Flannery, Quinlan and Wallace in a pack that shows almost 350 international caps is designed very much to ensure there are no backward steps taken tonight. Quick check on the benches, and Hugh Bennett returns to Ospreys action after 2 months out with an ankle injury. And the Munster bench includes Conan Doyle and Tom Gleeson. Both have played only once previous at this level. Well, alongside me in the commentary box tonight, Donal Lenihan. And looking at those two lineups that we've just seen, Donal, what can we expect tonight, do you think?
Yeah, a huge game for both sides for different reasons possibly. Munster, they're packed now really back to full strength, apart from Marcus Horan's stomach bug. Great to see Paul O'Connell back in the second row taking over that captain's armband. But I think most of all, to see Dennis Leamy back in the side, his season really has been totally destroyed by injury. Got a reconstructed shoulder over the summer and then lasted, I think, 18 minutes against the All Blacks. I bumped into him in Cork yesterday. He was really looking forward to the opportunity of getting back out onto the field, and it's a huge game for him. He brings another option to the back row where Munster have been, if you like, unfortunate with injuries, and with a view to Sale next week, a big game for a lot of Munster players.
Yes, it certainly is. Tomás O'Leary alongside Paul Warwick there. Important night for the two halfbacks, and good to see Tomás O'Leary and that man, the talisman, the captain, Paul O'Connell, back for Munster tonight. Was he the missing link over the Christmas and New Year period? Returning superstars of their own on the Ospreys team, who are led out tonight by that man, Paul James. It's a difficult place to come and win a rugby match. The Ospreys are unbeaten here at Liberty Stadium this season. Played 7 and won 7. And Munster's record against the Ospreys anywhere in Wales is remarkably poor. They've never beaten them here at Liberty Stadium, and they've only beaten them once, in fact, on Welsh soil. That was a European Cup match back at the Knoll in October 2004. So vital to everything the Ospreys do. Shane Williams, big night for that man too. Richard Hibbard. Hugh Bennett is, as we mentioned, back on the bench. He was the Grand Slam hooker for Wales last year. Could the presence of Bennett on the bench bring out the best of Richard Hibbard, who's been really playing some wonderful rugby? Tonight's match referee Andy McPherson from Scotland. Well, I suppose the Liberty Stadium wouldn't be top of the list in terms of places to come and bounce back from a couple of demoralising defeats, but that's exactly where Munster find themselves, and the sentiment in the studio was that we will see some kind of a big reaction from a bunch of players that have dug deep so many times in the past when their backs have been to the wall. Donegal Callaghan, as Killian Keane says, embarrassed by last week's performance, especially at home at Thomond Park against Ulster. Not often they're turned over in that fashion. Lee Byrne back in his favourite role at full back tonight. Scored a try from left wing. In goes the hooker, Richard Hibbert, helped out by Phillips, and then Tia, 37-year-old who's been added to the coaching staff at the Ospreys this week. Recently signed a new contract, of course. Phillips to hook. Highland has time, but the whistle sounds from McPherson, and it's going to be a penalty to the Ospreys.
Yeah, interesting start to the game there. Lee Byrne, who's been outstanding for the Ospreys at full-back and for Wales all season. We're just looking here now at the moment. One of the Munster forwards offside there. But interesting when you talk about all the ping pong that's gone on because of the ELVs. Lee Byrne is the one guy who will run back at you all the time. If your kicking game isn't right, his counter-attacking game is superb, and he's one guy that Munster have to watch tonight. Him in tandem with the returning Shane Williams, they will take every attacking opportunity that's open to them.
Ball's here. See your gap, that's the middle.
First line out then for Richard Hibbert. A couple of caps for Wales during the November internationals against South Africa and Canada. To the front they go, and the banker ball early on for Ospreys.
Through the middle.
Hibbert against John Hayes. Through comes Donnacha O'Callaghan first, then Paul O'Connell, and that's good work from the two locks. Turnover ball and an early chance for Munster to run from deep. Barry Murphy into contact on the 10-metre line, then taken on by Tomás O'Leary. Two number 5s, Jonathan Thomas and Paul O'Connell together.
Stay on. Waiting.
David Wallace protects, and Jerry Flannery there. Alan Wynne-Jones it was with a tackle. Now Warwick. Highland, as he so often is, collects possession from a little bit deeper. It's there for Tomás O'Leary. Paul Warwick. Ospreys were up high in defence, forcing the fly half to hold on to it. Possession secured again. Murphy. Darling now across on this right hand side, brings play up to the 10-metre line. Good work from the winger. On goes Murphy. Options now for Munster. Paul O'Connell. It was a late tackle. In goes Wallace. Tomás O'Leary. Pucciarello. Darling. Wonderful stuff from Munster. Lefimi Maffey for the line. Time is off, and Andy McPherson will go upstairs to check with Nigel Whitehouse, but Munster put it through the hands, and well, they're very, very close to an opening try.
You just see Maffey here. My first reaction was score. From that angle, I think, yeah, the question is a trailing leg. Is it in touch? Looks close, but I think he's got it down.
Offside lines. Yeah. Sure.
Well, it was wonderful continuity and quick ball from Munster that set up the chance. And then good hands in the line. Pucciarello among them. Maffey was released, and let's see. That trailing right leg. Looks like that might well be a try.
Yeah, remember now with the ELVs, touching the corner flag is irrelevant now. It's a question of whether that leg...
Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, Nigel.
Just listen.
Yeah, I have a decision.
Okay.
You may award the try.
Okay, thank you very much. Time on.
Lefimi Maffey inside 3 minutes has his first Magners League try of the season, and Munster lead the Ospreys at Liberty Stadium.
Yeah, and the key here was quick ball, great support inside and outside both. Ian Dowling coming in off his wing, offloading there to Barry Murphy, who does extremely well to find Paul Wallace, and again great offload, and Maffey superb, got his body in low, dive for the line. That was the secret. And you know, Munster, everybody says they do react when under pressure. They couldn't have asked for a better start than this in the opening 4 minutes.
Not to be from Paul Warwick's kick, so it remains 5 points to 0, but it's the perfect start for Munster, carving open the Ospreys' defence.
Yeah, and so many times you see Ian Dowling. He really is an unsung hero, coming in off his wing, offering support. It was Barry Murphy in the first instance. Dowling did well to find the hole, stays on his feet, and that's where he is superb. He's a great man to spin in the tackle. Superb work rate from him.
Here is the try score. Sending one deep downfield. The aerial route this time is the reply from the Ospreys. Alan Quinlan gets it away. And the question now is, what will be the reaction from the Ospreys? Good kick from Lee Byrne.
Yeah, he's a player in great form. The tackle, Alan Quinlan, is on the ground. He's a huge man for the full-back and puts Quinlan under all kinds of pressure. But I think it's vital for Munster. With that early score, overall you would feel that Munster do have the stronger pack out. So if they can generate a bit of a lead, it may be difficult for the Ospreys to get back.
Phillips gets it out into midfield. Andrew Bishop. There's Phillips again. And a chance for the Ospreys to reply. Very kickable position.
Yeah, and how many times do you see teams giving away penalties like that, having scored? I think it was David Wallace was adjudged by the referee Andy McPherson to have come in from the side. You just see him there. He's referee is a judge. He's not coming from the hindmost foot, right under his nose really. And again, that type of error of offering James Hook, if you like, an almost certain 3 points.
Well, despite his experience, David Wallace there accepting the invitation afforded to him by Mike Phillips. And James Hook, well, he won't miss too many of them tonight, brings his tally to 77 points for the season for the Ospreys. Sixth start tonight, prolific point scorer, and doing what he does best. So, in the 7th minute, it's the Ospreys 3, Munster 5. And our graphics, as ever, sponsored by SAS. On we go, and it's back on the Munster side, and it's gone forward off an Osprey's hand, so a chance for Tomas O'Leary to feed the scrum.
Scrum down. Just the man going up.
The interesting thing, there's great work rate already in the opening 7 or 8 minutes from both Paul O'Connell and Donncha O'Callaghan. On that occasion, a very good restart from Paul Warwick. O'Callaghan, the one managing to put pressure on Alan Wynne-Jones and forcing that knock on. In effect, a turnover for Munster.
Crouch. Touch.
Pucciarello, Flannery and Hayes, very, very strong Munster front row tonight against James Hibbard and Kai Griffith. No Adam Jones, no Duncan Jones. For the Ospreys, Duncan Jones out for the season and Adam Jones rested tonight.
Yeah, all the Jones boys missing. Ryan Jones as well as out. It is an understrength Ospreys pack, and one that Munster must attack.
And they will have a penalty.
Yeah, Paul James, the Ospreys loose head, just coming in at an angle in under John Hayes there. You've got to get that outside arm up over the back of the opposition loose head or tight head. You just see the engagement in the scrum there. His elbow, he's totally folded in right under the eyes of the referee. He has to, as I say, he has to get that outside arm up and over John Hayes' back.
Well, it was a good try from a really difficult angle from Paul Warwick after the try from Maffey. Just pulled it across the face of the posts. Strikes this one really well. Straight through the middle it goes. And Munster extend their advantage, 8 points to 3 in the 10th minute.
Munster 5. Ospreys 3, Munster 8.
Well, Sean Hawley was saying this week that his players are prepared for a reaction from Munster, and feels his players have the firepower to hurt the European champions, but we've seen a good solid start from Munster. And a good take from Paul O'Connell. And here comes the Munster maul. O'Leary, dead centre of the field. Phillips. Rather gifting possession back to Munster. Too much on the kick and got nowhere near it in chase. This time not rolling away, and the penalty count is ticking onwards and upwards.
Yeah, but the key element there is the difference in the way that both sides treated the kick-off. We saw Donegal O'Callaghan getting up, putting pressure on Alan Wynne-Jones in the air. On the other side, Munster, Paul O'Connell claiming that ball. Huge support from the front five around him. They managed to get in, drive him all 7 or 8 metres and offer Tomás O'Leary the perfect platform. Very good at the basics tonight so far for Munster.
And Paul Warwick brings Munster to within touching distance of the Ospreys 22, and a chance to find the likes of Paul O'Connell and Donegal O'Callaghan for Jerry Flannery. Set piece has been troublesome in recent weeks for Munster, both from the scrum and from touch. You would think sterility will be restored tonight with the likes of Flannery and this man Paul O'Connell. Good clean take. Flannery has it. O'Leary spins off him. Wallace takes it. Tandy and Vaughton tackling. Munster rumbling on into the 22. Have the Ospreys turned it over? They have indeed. Phillips thinks he can see it. And it'll be a put in for the home team, and that's a real feather in the cap for the Ospreys. Big psychological blow there.
Yeah, very good play from the Ospreys. We can see from this angle, it's actually Tom Smith, I think, managed to get in there. He was on his feet at the time and ripped the ball from one of the Munster forwards. A superb place to turn over possession. You're 15-20 metres out from your own goal line. John Hayes will definitely have to go to the blood bin, and Timmy Ryan, I would imagine, will come in. But I think it'll please Munster. They've, as you've said, their line-out has been all over the place at times. If anything, they've probably overcomplicated. I know they changed calls at various stages, and but there they went back to the basics, took the ball up the middle. They should have got a better reward, but lost the ball in contact, and certainly they'd be hoping that John Hayes will manage to get back on the field fairly quickly.
Looks nasty enough for Hayes. May have caught a stray stud down the forehead there, and there is Tim Ryan in. Two front rows coming up, but it's out on the Osprey side. There it is for Phillips. Tracked all the way by Hurley. He had a useful game at full-back against Ulster. Looked solid under the high ball. Crucially missed one, though, against Ian Humphreys, which led Ulster in for a try, but getting back to his best form, Dennis Hurley, you feel. Tomás O'Leary. As ever, Quinlan in the thick of things. O'Leary again down this side. Pucciarello has no support. Lafili Maffey, well, it worked for the try. Didn't work at all that time. Maffey had gone back inside.
Yeah, I think a lack of communication there. Freddie thinking that Maffey was still out on the wing, but again, the difficulty for Munster, it's good organised defence from the Ospreys, and if the ball carrier is going to be isolated, carrying the ball in without support, then he's going to be driven backwards.
Quick ball from the line-out for the Ospreys. This is where they're dangerous. Bishop and Maffey. Bishop gets away, kicks through, and the chase on for Bishop. The covering player is Doug Howlett, and he gets himself out of jail remarkably well. Now he needs support. Stays on his feet, cuts back inside. Brilliant from the winger. And Munster, well, that was played straight out, but I mean, it's Munster out of trouble for the meantime thanks to that man Howlett, and it was dangerous stuff. Bishop did really well.
Yeah, Andrew Bishop, very strong upper body there, but both Barry Murphy and Maffey were there, but he managed to shrug both of them off, and but for the covering of Dougie Howlett, Munster would be under all kinds of pressure. He still manages to get out of trouble. He's isolated, if anything, but does very well to keep the ball alive.
And they could find themselves under further pressure, Munster now, from this driving maul. Away comes Hibbert instead. Leamy and O'Connell together, forcing the Ospreys back and forcing the turnover. Great stuff. No surprise to see it was Paul O'Connell in the thick of things, and together with Alan Quinlan they've managed to turn it over and take Munster almost up to halfway. Great stuff.
That was a great relieving kick from Warwick, and again it was a reverse of what happened earlier when we had the Ospreys turning Munster over deep in their 22. Great work there from O'Connell, turning over possession initially from the line. We're just looking back here again at that break from Bishop, who has been capped for Wales on a number of occasions, a young boy, but very strong.
Yeah, he's only 23 and capped most recently in the match against Canada in November. He started that match. Another good prospect. There's a little bit of Jersey tugging off the ball there. It gives a penalty to Munster. Cheap penalty conceded by the Ospreys.
No ball, number 7.
Steve Tandy.
Important game tonight as well for Paul Warwick. I know the indications are that Ronan O'Gara should be available for the Heineken Cup game against Sale next week, but with hamstring injuries you just never know how a player will react and how quickly he'll get back. So I think from a confidence point of view it's a very important game for Warwick to display the type of form that he showed early in the season when he really was outstanding at 10, and played of course at full back against Sale in the game in Edgeley Park, and had a superb game that day.
You saw there that the referee got it right. There's the two number 7s. The line-out goes the way of the Ospreys though. Too many Munstermen rooted to the floor, it seemed. It was quite an easy turnover. Now Hurley to Howlett. A little bit of a loose tackle from Tom Smith. Quinlan uses the boot. From inside the 22, Hook delivers one way downfield. Tomas O'Leary uses his speed to get past Hook, but he couldn't get past Tom Smith. Now it's Dowling, whose good work really led to the opening try of the match from Maffey inside 4 minutes. O'Leary on the 10-metre line to O'Callaghan. Has Flannery in support. Penalty coming the way of the Ospreys though.
Taking the man out.
And that's a cheap penalty really for Munster. Off the ball, taking an Ospreys player out and giving a chance to James Hook, and really for a man of his calibre it should be 8-6 after all this.
Yeah, but all of it came really from Tomas O'Leary, forced to sort of run down a blind alley. You just see David Wallace there running in front of the ball carrier and taking out one of the Ospreys defenders. I think the Ospreys attacking player knew exactly what he was doing, but Wallace really again the second soft penalty from him for a guy of his experience, offering James Hook another opportunity of a second penalty goal.
It's his 59th appearance tonight for the Ospreys, James Hook, and he's managed to rack up 593 points so far. And it's another beauty. The familiar side of James Hook, turning away, having only just struck the ball. He knows as soon as it leaves the kicking tee that it's right between the uprights. Ospreys 6, now Munster 8.
He really struck that beautifully, and no better man for from place ball when he's on the type of form that he's showing tonight.
Warwick restarts, and this time Ospreys get their jumpers in the air. Phillips. Darling has a look and sends it skyward. Should be Munster ball, and it is. Back to Darling, then Maffey. Support coming in from O'Connell. Support not coming in quick enough. And how many times have we seen this? The team with the ball penalised in their own half. And well, it's a long, long way out, but I wouldn't rule out James Hook having a pop at goal.
Well, it goes back to what Paul Warwick was speaking about in his interview before the game. He said it's all about playing the game in the right areas. You look at the last two penalty opportunities, they came to Moss O'Leary trying to run out of defence, and Laifemi Maffey there on that occasion getting isolated in the contact area. And again, teams are so astute now in getting their hands on the ball, and referees will always penalise that.
Touched on this left hand side is the decision for the Ospreys, and sniffing out their first try of the match, perhaps, if they can get things right from Hibbard. Again, it's quick ball from the line out. Phillips back inside, Johnny Vaughton. Tia in there as well. Munster have turned it over to Moss O'Leary. We've seen so many turnovers in the opening 20 minutes. I'm not sure who the Munster player on the floor was, but he turned his man brilliantly, and then it was back on the Munster side, and it was only a case of Tomas O'Leary snatching it, and he sent it a long way downfield as well.
Yeah, for the second time in a short space, we have Munster turning over Ospreys' possession deep in their own 22. You're looking here at their line-out. Their line-out has been very impressive so far in this game, despite the fact that Ian Goff and Ian Evans are both out of the side.
Thank you, Tim. Not straight.
Well, this time it's not straight.
Come down, red ball.
Jonathan Thomas took it. It has worked well, but it's going to be Munster ball.
Well, just on cue, you'd praise the line-out. He throws it in crooked.
Crouch. Touch. Pause. Engage.
Could well have been an area pre-match that Munster would target, with O'Connell and O'Callaghan coming back against Alan Wynne-Jones, who is of course a natural second row, but not Jonathan Thomas.
Keep it the same here.
You would like to see Munster challenging more on the opposition ball in the air, particularly with O'Connell in the middle there, and Alan Quinlan, who's superb in that area.
Round on the spot.
Free kick this time from Andy McPherson to the Ospreys. Phillips trying to organise and get them going quickly, which he does. Tia on to Tom Smith. Tandy didn't expect the pass and wasn't ready, and as a result it's another turnover. Munster just beyond their 10-metre line with Warwick. Again, it's returned with interest. Warwick looking for the space, sends it straight up. Hoylard in chase. Good offload from Phillips. Tia Tandy does get this pass. Better from the Ospreys. Lots of tackles from Paul O'Connell in the opening 23 minutes. Phillips to Richard Hibbard, on to Tia. Phillips decides to have a look himself. Big, powerful, physical player, and he can go through a hole like that very easily if you're not careful. Johnny Vaughton, well tackled. Wallace, has he turned it over? Well, the Ospreys infringing, coming in from the side, and it's going to be Munster ball.
And the Ospreys are so good when they get that broken field opportunities. Their ball retention quite good. They have so many very dangerous broken field runners, although Shane Williams I don't think has got a pass in the game yet, and Munster's, their close in defence has been quite good. I'm not quite sure if it's Tia there was a judge. That's the turnover earlier, and again we're just looking at Lee Byrne or Mike Phillips. Beautiful offload there from him to Hook. Again, you can see what they're trying to do. They're very good at sucking in defenders, offloading, support players inside and out.
Flannery goes to the back where he looked for Wallace, who seemed to be impeded when the ball was in the air. They heard the shout from the open side.
2 or 3 quick penalties against your boys. They're silly penalties.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, okay? Yeah.
No question. Andy McPherson spotted the infringement. It's Tia. Well, it's a straight arm, 2-arm push, really. You're not going to get away with that.
That's a silly penalty from a guy of his experience, particularly again in the area of the field, affording Munster an opportunity of another 3 points. And Paul Warwick, he punished the last one, and you know, if Tia he's moving into the coaching sphere, I think next season, I'm sure when he's on the sideline, he sees players giving away penalties like that, he'll see just how frustrating it is. But you see there John Hayes, head patched up, so he's back on the field, so it's good news all round for Munster at the moment.
Great strike from Warwick. That's a second penalty for the Australian, and it extends Munster's lead to 5 points as we head up towards the 25th minute. 11 points to 6 Munster lead.
There's Neil Jenkins there, but an outstanding kicker. He was in his day, no doubt here in his role as the Welsh kicking advisor.
Restart well taken by Paul O'Connell this time.
Don't block 7, don't block 6. Waiting.
O'Leary to Warwick, outside the 22. Hook goes in for it, and it's back on the Osprey side, and it's back with Mike Phillips. Oh, they might have options. Lee Byrne, important tackle by Maffey to slow his progress, and now it's loose. Great one-handed pick-up from Hook. Finding Tom Smith, that was good from the fly half. Advantage to the Ospreys. Back we come, and in the knowledge that he had the advantage, James Hook tries an audacious drop goal.
Yeah, a touch of class here from Hook in the first place, stepping into the scrum half role. Great pick-up, offloading to Tom Smith. He's been very impressive. He hadn't had a huge amount of games for the Ospreys, but managing to suck in the Munster defence there, and again one of the Munster defenders going off their feet. And almost every time Munster score, they hand the initiative straight back to the Ospreys by silly penalties.
So a chance for James Hook to cancel out the penalty from Paul Warwick. Well, he's pushed this one to the right, and it just clips the top of the upright. And well, that's a real let-off for Munster, because you'd have put your house on James Hook from that position. Not this time, though. The first flaw. And that's a good time to tell you about some live Premier League action coming your way on Setanta tomorrow from 2:30. We're at the Emirates Stadium for Arsenal against Bolton. And a little bit later on in the evening, Stoke City, Britannia Stadium against Liverpool on Setanta Ireland and Setanta Sports 1. And then we're back to the Magners League, the RDS tomorrow night for Leinster against Cardiff from 7. The Ospreys back in familiar territory. They've had lots of possession and lots of territory. Munster, who lead crucially, haven't seen too much of that man Shane Williams, showing good hands to get it to Bishop, and then Lee Byrne just showing a lack of concentration.
Just ball going wide here again, first time he's got the ball, but Dennis Leamy, good pressure from him, manages to grab a hold of Shane Williams, and knock on coming there from Lee Byrne. But that position, Tandy managing to get a hand to Paul Warwick in the restart, just blocking his dropout, and he didn't get the field position that he was looking for as a result.
Free kick to Munster, and away comes Ian Dowling. Hook got a hold of his ankle. Now it's Warwick with a skipped out pass to Dennis Hurdy. Sonny Parker making the tackle on the fullback, Tomas O'Leary. Really good hands from Pucciarello it was to keep the move alive and prevent the turnover and the possible intercept, really. Munster this time going with the boot and playing a little bit of territorial stuff.
Well, it was a lovely little chip at the end from Paul Warwick, but what a fantastic little have a look here. Freddie Pucciarello, great hands, knows he's under pressure from Tia, and very cleverly offloads there to Donncha O'Callaghan, who's been on the ball far more tonight, really looks up for this game. Killian mentioned earlier on about back in the studio about O'Callaghan being embarrassed with last week's performance against Ulster. He's really got stuck in tonight and is looking to try and rectify the ills of that performance.
Hibbard, and again it's Jonathan Thomas who's the outlet at number 2 in the line. Phillips. Darling ignores the option of a quick one. And was his foot in touch? Should it be Munster ball? That's what he's insinuating to the assistant referee over on the far side. Yes, it is indeed. Flannery is going to deliver it.
And interestingly enough, it's only the third line-out that Munster have had a half an hour into the game. Really been denied a platform there, and that's a poor throw. Nobody again going up in the air for the second line-out in a row.
Twice communication has led Munster down, and are they going to pay and pay heavily? Vaughton steps on the gas and goes for the corner. Across comes the tackle. He got the ball down, but did touch come first? The winger at real pace, and across comes Tomas O'Leary. How many times have we seen the scrum half use his physicality to deny the opposition a certain try? He may have done it again, or has the winger got in?
Well, it looked very close, but again, great cover tackle from O'Leary. He's in touch. That's not a try. You just look there, his outside boot is touching the ground before he's grounded the ball. That's not a try in my view, but Tomas O'Leary, what an incredible cover tackle. Bear in mind that came from a line-out.
It's in touch, defending line-out 5 metres.
In touch, defending line-out 5 metres. No try.
Tomas O'Leary has prevented a certain try from that man, Johnny Vaughton, with a type of tackle that we're beginning to get accustomed to see him making. Sonny Parker, and once it goes wide, he has the pace to get past Maffey, and then bang, in comes Tomas O'Leary. A certain save of 5 points. The match would be level but for the intervention of the scrum half. Saw him do it against Clermont Auvergne right in front of his own posts, and here he is again.
Yeah, and that's one of the many aspects that O'Leary brings to Munster. His defence is superb. He has tremendous pace as well. And again, for that defending line-up, Munster going back to basics, a simple throw to Paul O'Connell, and they managed to defend it. But you just see how dangerous the Ospreys are on turnover possession.
Phillips under pressure from Alan Quinlan that time, but it's Ospreys ball, and this time through the middle. Bishop. It's been a great half hour from him, 2 or 3 times now getting beyond the advantage line. Through comes Lee Byrne. Munster need to get the numbers back. Phillips, Tia back inside, Hook. Well played, David Wallace. The tempo of the game just picking up now.
Yeah, you can see the confidence almost growing in the Ospreys now. They're having a go, and this is where Hook is so good. Their offloading game, as we mentioned early on, Lee Byrne on that occasion coming in, sucking in the Munster defender. The key is quick ball, and Tia with the offload, but that is where David Wallace earns his corn week in, week out. Tremendous tackle. I have to say, Hook didn't look overly committed when he was so close to the line, but Wallace, tremendous defensive work again.
Well, he seemed to be heading in the direction of Shane Williams, hoping the little winger could get a hold of it and find a gap. Munster had plenty of numbers over there.
But again, you go back to the try-scoring opportunity for Vaughton. It came from a Munster throw on the line-out where nobody seemed to get off the ground. Strange, really, to see that happening now for the second time in the game when it's an area that Munster have focused on over the past couple of weeks.
No, these not good signs for Munster. Injury worries to Ronan O'Gara, who tweaked a hamstring early in the match at Thomond Park against Ulster, and Paul Warwick, not alone as a number 10 but as a full back, is vitally important to Munster and will be over the coming weeks in the Heineken Cup and here tonight. Their only cover on the bench, of course, is 23-year-old Conan Doyle, the Gary Owen fly half, so worrying signs, and let's see if we can see the nature of the injury.
But I think this is the build-up to the potential try-scoring opportunity again with from that turnover in the line-out. Vaughton given a clear run to the line here, and both Maffey and Tomás O'Leary getting back to make the cover tackle. But you know, going back to the scenario here with Paul Warwick injured, he's the last guy that Tony McGahan would want to see down, because the third scrum out half is Jeremy Manning, who got injured in the Munster Cup final last week with a potential cracked rib. You just see Warwick there taking a blow to the ribs as well. And Conan Doyle, it looks as if it's to the side of the cheek. Now this is a serious concern, because Jeremy Manning has a rib injury, and my understanding is that Conan Doyle may not be registered to play in the Heineken Cup.
That is the worry.
But that looks like a cheekbone injury, and if it is, he won't be available next week.
So in comes Conan Doyle, on for only his second appearance in a Munster jersey. His first was against Borders in the Magners League way back in April 2005, so a real test for the young man. Munster just need to settle it down, try and maintain their advantage as close as they can to half-time while they await the diagnosis on Paul Warwick, although it looked the kind of injury that is going to be the end of his evening.
And the difficulty for Conan Doyle, he's playing most of his rugby at 12 for Gary Owen in the All-Ireland League at the moment, so a big ask for him slotting into the 10 channel. But it's Murphy's Law. We've seen it so many times in the past. You get repetitive injuries in the same position.
Ball off the top from Tandy, but it's gone forward from the Ospreys. Munster ball. But again, initially their line-out seems to be functioning very well.
Spined up, please, okay?
That'll please Sean Hawley and John Humphreys.
Crouch, touch, pause, engage. Let's go. Stay down, 7, stay down. That's taken back. Waiting, red.
First piece of work to do for Doyle, and he fires it straight down the middle. Burn into contact and into Paul O'Connell. Tom Smith's got through a good bit of work so far for the Ospreys. Here's Hook. Sonny Parker. Good work from Parker. Steals 5 metres with a leg drive. Hibbert as well, tackled by Howlett. Hook looking for a little bit of space, of which there is very little. Munster tackling's been good. Bishop now to Williams, up against Alan Quinlan. Goes backwards, then inside, and then is met by Paul O'Connell, who we're mentioning with great frequency in terms of tackling. Crossfield kick led by Howlett but not gathered, and then it's missed by Hurley. Worrying moments in the Munster defence.
Just the lack of precision there. Dougie Howlett was caught under the high ball on that occasion, and Dennis Hurley missing the kick. You don't see him drop too many of those, but again under a lot of pressure from the chasing Ospreys players. Dennis Hurley unfortunately fly kicking there, and you just feel Munster need to settle down there. The loss of Warwick certainly has affected them, and they just need to regroup and try and hold out until half time to reorganise themselves. But unfortunately, again, another penalty here.
Exactly the same as the penalty you got. Interference in the air. Of course.
Randy McPherson clarifying that where it was T at the other end, this time it looked like it was John Hayes interfering with the jumper. Line out time, and James Hook will look to get back on track, having missed the last one.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh, I think, in terms of Alan Quinlan coming across there. Certainly not as obvious as the one we saw from Tia earlier, but referee, he's closer to the action than I am, and he's happy that there was interference with the jumper in the air.
Well, I'm not sure John Hayes did anything wrong. I'm not sure either whether Alan Quinlan did too much wrong on the evidence of that replay anyway. That's a better looking strike from Hook. He doesn't often miss two in a row, and he hasn't. And it's a 2-point game. Ospreys 9, Munster 11. It's set up nicely.
Yeah, far better kick from Hook in that time. But, I'm just thinking back in the course of a week, who'd want to be a coach? You had Ronan O'Gara running off with that suspected hamstring injury last Saturday night. Jeremy Manning gets injured the following day, and now you have Warwick only 5 days later. Your three out halves in your squad all getting injured within 6 days of each other.
Well, it brings into sharper focus the absolute must that Ronan O'Gara is fit to play for Munster next week, really. The indications from the Munster camp this week seem to suggest that he will be okay. It's gone forward from Lee Byrne. There's a good kick from Hurley and a good chase, good strong chase. Byrne's taking a knock.
You just see the challenge in the air here. Dennis Hurley has his eyes on the ball all the time. Lee Byrne as well. It happens like that. To be fair, no malice from either player. They're both players with their eyes on the ball. Byrne just lands very heavy on his lower back there, and I think hopefully he's just winded, but he gets a huge, you see the strength in his legs there, huge leg drive up in the air for that ball, but unfortunately took the tumble over Dennis Hurley, and he's probably just winded, just needs a few minutes to get his breath back, but it's just as well, because Paul O'Connell again covering acres to be under that dropping ball.
Looks as though Lee Byrne is going to be okay. It has been a good return to action so far for Paul O'Connell.
Take the hit. If you get a chance, get it in, please. Good. Touch. Pause. Engage. Stay down 6.
And it goes from Tomas O'Leary. Doyle back inside to Doug Hyland. That's 3 or 4 times this half we've seen sides penalised for obstruction.
Yeah, you just see here Conan Doyle popping back inside. He's adjudged to have taken out the Ospreys defenders by continuing his run. The difficulty is there's so much happening in a confined space, but that is you just see a glimpse of one of the strengths of Conan Doyle's game. He is a very good distributor. He's not probably his kicking wouldn't be the strongest point of his game, and I think that's probably why he's playing at 12 for Gary Owen, but he is a very good defender, but it'll take him time to adjust to the pace of this game.
That line out better contested this time. Munster making life difficult for the Ospreys, but Thomas did well again. Steve Tandy into contact. It may have been Tandy slightly blocked off by Wallace as well in the previous passage of play. And this time James Hook, this is when he's so dangerous now. Can he find the pass? He can't to Lee Byrne. Back they go to Shane Williams. And he's so dangerous with no space to work in, Shane Williams. This time the cover comes across. Dennis Hurley shutting the door in his face.
This is what James Hook is so good at. He's a tremendous man to take a break. Lee Byrne and Shane Williams then working in really the narrowest of spaces, running out of space there. Munster defenders managing to get the cover into the corner, but Hook is superb at that. Fantastic hands. Once he gets in behind the defence, he's very clever at his offloads. And Shane Byrne, Shane Williams, I should say, limited opportunity, but he is so dangerous in possession.
Quinlan collects for Munster, looking to protect their 2-point advantage as we head towards half-time, and that is the final piece of action. Kicked into touch by Tomás O'Leary, and it's Munster who lead at half-time at Liberty Stadium, thanks in no small part to a try from that man Lafemi Mafi, and a great try-saving tackle from Tomás O'Leary. 3 penalties for that man James Hook, and well, it's poised beautifully at half-time. The scoreline: Ospreys 9, Munster 11.
Thanks, Conor. Back to you for the second half. Well, Munster came to the Liberty on a bit of a downer. Didn't take long for them to remind us all of their enduring class. Half-time analysis next.
Welcome back to Swansea, where it's Munster leading by 11 points to 9 at half-time. Early try from Lafemi Mafi, and a couple of penalties from Paul Warwick, who I'm sure you know by now has had to go off with a nasty looking facial injury. Took a bang, we think, on the cheekbone, and in his place young Conan Doyle, the 23-year-old from Gary Owen. So Munster in front, but with plenty of work to do. They've never won here, remember. A much improved performance in the opening 40 minutes from Munster following those 2 defeats to Ulster and to Connacht. Donal Lennon, we saw lots of penalties conceded in that opening half. And what do you think the message will be at half-time from Tony McGann?
Well, I think he'd be delighted to have had the opportunity to sit Conan Doyle down and explain exactly what he wants from him. Coming in late into the first half, really almost like a baptism of fire for him. But again, you know, the lads mentioned it back in the studio, the hunger on the Munster side. You look at the restart there. Dennis Leamy caught that ball 10 metres from his own line, managed to drive out beyond the 22. The kick chase from Doug Howlett, the tackle on Mike Phillips was superb. And Munster then, their pressure at the breakdown, generating this penalty, which has given them fantastic field position.
O'Connell, and then Tomás O'Leary. That's the Ospreys 22. Good position. Flannery controlling things. Wallace and Leamy together, forming the wedge. Wallace back for O'Connell. Steps past the first man, almost past the second as well. Sets it up for O'Leary. Now Doyle, Mafi. Howlett just managed to hold on to it. In goes Barry Murphy to protect it for Tomás O'Leary. Again, it's quick front foot ball for Munster. Big tackle coming in on Jerry Flannery, though. A great tackle, and it results in the turnover.
Yeah, I think Flannery just got himself turned the wrong way. He was turned to face the opposition, ball away from the Munster players, and unfortunately couldn't release it. But again, just a little cameo of Conan Doyle. Good offload there from him again, and he's certainly finding his feet at the moment.
Kai Griffith, there he is, 25-year-old, 19.5 stone. This was an important tackle. It's on the phase just after this. Again, Munster in a threatening position, but unable to manufacture any points.
I think Larry Fisher may have told Munster as well at half-time, just simplify their line-out. When you use Paul O'Connell, quick ball off the top there, without too much movement, certainly their line-out is fine, not a problem.
Hibberd this time going for the back, and he finds O'Connell, so that's worked out well for Munster. Wasn't the best of throws, it must be said, from Hibbard. Aiming for Tia. Instead, finding the Munster captain. On they go with Flannery. O'Leary looks to the right to Pucciarello. Tackled by Tandy. On go Munster. Good from the forwards. Flannery again. Over the 10-metre line. This time it's slower ball. Dennis Hurley shaped a kick and then held on to it. Steals a couple of metres. Dennis Leamy sidestepping the first tackler. Alan Quinlan. Did he lose that forward? The referee's on the other side, so on we go. Now it's back for Tomas O'Leary. Doyle. Again, it's Maffey, the outlet. Ospreys are up quickly on Doug Howlett. Tom Smith. Munster off their feet. Penalty to the Ospreys.
Yeah, there's so many penalties around the breakdown area now, that occasion for going off their feet. But I think the key for Munster in this game is taking them on up front. Certainly the Munster pack look far stronger than the Ospreys. The only difficulty is they must produce quicker ball. You see Dougie Howlett there, a big hit from Bishop again, who's been quite impressive in this game so far. But Howlett getting himself isolated. Ospreys hands on the ball, he had to release there.
Yeah, he's made a big impression tonight, Andrew Bishop. Captain at international level already, as we said, only 23. And as you would expect, James Hook delivers a thumping penalty downfield. Sonny Parker being called off. He's taken a knock and in comes Dan Bigger. Here he is. So Hook, on the evidence of that first passage of play, will move into the centre.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. Hook has moved into the 12 channel there, but again a cheap penalty given away.
I thought Steve Tandy was going to tap and go there, when really it's James Hook territory right in front of the sticks. And it's a chance for James Hook to give the Ospreys the lead for the first time in the match, behind after only 3.5 minutes, remember, to a try from Lafemi Maffey, finished off brilliantly in the corner. Strikes it really well. He gives it such a thump, and with that James Hook takes his career tally past 600 points for the Ospreys. And more importantly, on a night like tonight when it's first against second, the Ospreys, the league leaders, are back in front against Munster by 12 points to 11.
Yeah, that's 4 out of 5 for Hook, but I think more importantly, you could hear or watch the referee there just having a quiet word with Paul O'Connell to get Munster to sort their discipline out. And again, that's a poor restart from Conan Doyle there under pressure, kicking out on the full, exactly what you don't want to happen.
Well, that won't do much for his confidence. Quite a distance out, really.
Again, to be fair to him, he wouldn't even take the restarts for Gary Owen.
And the news from down pitside from the Munster camp is that Paul Warwick has a slight concussion, we hear, after taking a bang to the cheekbone. So we will wait a fuller diagnosis on that before making any assumptions as to his availability for European Cup duty next week. But a slight concussion, we understand, for Paul Warwick. There's Sonny Parker. He seems to be okay. Munster will be hoping that Paul Warwick is okay. And you would expect that a slight concussion is better news than the possibility of a fractured cheekbone or an injury such as that. Now that James Hook right on halfway and right in front of the goal. This is a really difficult kick. Well, he's given it absolutely everything. Oh, it's tremendous from James Hook. Brilliant kick from the fly half. And the Ospreys now lead by 4 points, and well, they might be happy.
Well, this was like a bullet out of a gun, and look at the it went a full 7, 8, 9 metres beyond the post, so a warning to Munster really. Any concession of a penalty, even 7 or 8 yards in his own half, and this guy could have a pop.
Well, it's really set up now for the second half. And certainly the loss of Sonny Parker, while it's forced the Ospreys to rejig a little bit, they won't be weakened by the fact that Dan Biggar's now at 10 and James Hook at 12. We've seen that many a time, both for the Ospreys and for Wales, where Hook goes inside to first centre. Darling sets it back for Tomas O'Leary. Quinlan. Munster need to get the momentum back, and they'll have a penalty.
Number 6.
And it's against Tom Smith.
I called hands off twice. You still got to get your hands out.
And that's where players really have to work with the referee. The referee did say hands off there. Player Tom Smith there just not listening to him. And but again, it's the breakdown. The referees, of course, they're under pressure. They're always being analysed themselves on the sideline. You see Smith there. He's not supporting his own weight, and referee adjudged that he gave away the penalty. But there are so many penalties at the breakdown row. It's breaking up the whole continuity of matches, and we see Conan Doyle is taking over the kicking duties. But again, it would be Conor Kilroy, but kick for Gary Owen. He's not a frontline kicker for his club.
As we pass the 50th minute mark, a really important moment for Munster and for this man Conan Doyle. Confidence is key, and his first strike at goal is a really confident one, right between the middle, and he can puff out his chest as he runs back. That'll settle him down no end, and this time it's the turn of the Munster fans to cheer. 15 points to 14.
Well, that was a show of character for him, because sometimes the ones in front of the post can be the easier ones, and I'm not sure how regular he practices his place kicking, but certainly he was spot on that occasion.
Paul O'Connell again takes the restart for Munster. O'Leary dispatches the box kick. Dan Biggar took it well. Well, it's a real grapple for possession. Munster have it, and Munster will get the put in. And it's becoming a really good contest in and around the contact area. Tia disgusted with the referee, but it's Munster ball.
Coming across. Okay, you're binding up. I'm going to come and have a look.
Well, the problem's over on that far side. Paul James and John Hayes, two vastly experienced characters.
You just both fell into each other. Come up a little bit. That's a bit too far.
Richard Hibbert's complaining that Munster are too close on the engagement.
Pause, engage. Stay down.
It's at the feet of Dennis Leamy, and it's there for Tomas O'Leary. Harlot up against Mike Phillips, who's helped out by Steve Tandy. Doyle, confidence growing, tried to go inside Biggar. and was well tackled. Now Paul O'Connell around the fringes. Smith sticks to his task. Quinlan. There it is for O'Leary. Ian Darling, it's gone forward.
I think the problem for Munster at the breakdown, they're not getting enough bodies beyond the ball. They've just got to drive lower, get the leg drive going, get in beyond the ball, because Tomás O'Leary is having to dig it out of contact far too often, and as a result the ball is too slow and he's under pressure. Paul O'Connell really needs to get his first 2 or 3 players at the breakdown to drive beyond that ball. I mean, they're hitting and they're stopping.
Ian Darling wasn't too pleased with the service on the last pass either. Let his teammate be known. Munster, they're tigerish at the breakdown now, and this is the kind of reaction that their supporters would have hoped for. They're taking on the Ospreys up front, and just look at this. They're winning, and away comes Wallace. Wallace still going. Important tap tackle by Phillips, but just look at the ground that Wallace has made. Too much ground for the support though, and the Ospreys will get a penalty.
Well, it's up to the supporting players to get with him. Wallace has been amazing so far.
Shane Williams scything through the Munster defence from one end of the field to the next. James Hook, and it could be on for a memorable try. Bishop comes in to support. Ospreys players attacking the ruck. Darling's got his hands on the ball to slow it down. It's going to be a penalty, and it's a certain yellow card for the winger. And there's a little bit of afters as well, but it's breathtaking stuff from one end of the pitch to the next. Shane Williams, so elusive.
Let me sort it out.
Well, Ian Dowling is certainly under pressure here. I think the referee just waiting to pull the yellow card out.
There you go. I need number 11.
What's the difference between
Number 11. Number 11. 11.
Well, it's difficult to build a defence really for
Slowing about in the ball.
Ian Dowling.
Off you go. He's slowed down the ball.
I'm sure we'll see it again, but it was looking very, very dangerous for the Ospreys. If they could get possession of quick ball, it was coming back on their side.
Which is a tremendous passage of play there from Shane Williams. The referee obviously had called a rock there. Dowling prevented the quick release of the ball, where you have to say that there was definitely a try on, and I think the referee is right. But again, from the penalty, Shane Williams backing his pace, having a go, catching Munster asleep there. It was a tremendous cover tackle from Barry Murphy, and a great offload from Hook, who again is back in the action there. You see the tackle from Barry Murphy. But Dowling just manages to come in and slow the ball down sufficiently. Some people might say that he's on his feet, but if the referee calls ruck, you cannot interfere with the ball on the ground.
And you did see the referee, Andy McPherson, indicate that it was advantage to the Ospreys before he then whistled up. James Hook again showing that he's got great pace to get up and support Shane Williams. Hook makes no mistake, and it's tit for tat really. Penalties one way and the next, and you get the feeling that this match will be very, very close right down to the finish. Just watch this from Shane Williams. He spots so many forwards in front of him, and he knows he's got the pace to get in between O'Connell and Flannery, and then he's gone. It's Dennis Leamy coming across, and what a tackle it was from Barry Murphy, and Hook almost gets away then. It's gone forward from Jonathan Thomas, it looked like. Advantage Munster. In goes Paul O'Connell. John O'Sullivan, wearing number 19, is in for Munster, and they rumble on. Inching ever closer. There he is again. Confirmation of the switch from Tony McGann. Vital that Munster while down to 14 men, can keep in this contest, try and play as much rugby as possible down in Ospreys territory. And they've conceded possession now, which is going to be put in for Mike Phillips. And Hugh Bennett returns to action for the Ospreys for the first time since early November, when he damaged ankle ligaments. So that's a boost for them and for Wales, with the Six Nations around the corner.
But this is the vital 8 or 9 minutes of the game now, Conor. Ospreys certainly with the advantage numerically, and they have the pace outright to take advantage of it with Dowling in the bin. I think Tony McGahan will be thrilled that he got 55 minutes out of Dennis Leamy, who I felt was getting better and better as the game was going on, but understandably wasn't going to be fit enough to last 80 minutes. And I think with Munster down to 14, fresh legs are needed. John O'Sullivan gets his opportunity.
Well, he's seen plenty of game time, the former Connacht man John O'Sullivan, for Munster this season. Started the Heineken Cup match against Sale, and one would assume that he will go to the open side, with Wallace slotting into Dennis Leamy's role then at number 8.
Yeah, but again, Conor, just to go back to the incident in the build-up to that penalty, David Wallace, his leg drive, he burst through 2 or 3 Ospreys tackles there, and really, if there was any supporting player there, you felt that Munster may have scored. But Alan Quinlan now, who was taking it back, taking a knock there. Mick O'Driscoll, who has of course played in the back row on numerous occasions, both in Magners and Heineken Cup, but he's going to have to slot in there now.
Played a considerable amount of rugby during his time at Perpignan in that position as well. So the injury problems mount up at Munster. 4 points adrift and a man down.
The scrum really has been a mess all night on both sides. Too many resets for my liking.
Wallace up against Tia. In goes Mick O'Driscoll, immediately involved. Flannery, and this the type of Munster style of rugby that the suggestion was they'd play tonight, reverting more to type in the face of those couple of defeats that have hurt them so much against fellow Irish provinces. Hands away was the call from the referee. Steve Tandy ignores that. We heard it up here. He must have heard it, and well, consistency is what we ask time and again from referees, and it may not have been an obvious try scoring position, but it was deliberate, and the call from McPherson not heeded by Tandy, so it's 14 aside.
Yeah, you have to say Andy McPherson has been absolutely consistent in all his decision makings tonight. Tandy again there, despite the fact that the referee was telling him, again, silly indiscretion, and that'll certainly help Munster in terms of taking the pressure off from a numerical point of view. But again, a big kick here for young Conan Doyle.
Change at scrum half imminent for Munster, it seems. Well, they don't get much more straightforward, but when you're coming into a Munster side, into the side of the European champions, at the home of the Magners League leaders, nothing is easy. And real credit to Conan Doyle. 2 from 2, and Munster back to within a point, 18 points to 17.
Well, he's acquitted himself well since he's come on. Certainly hasn't let the side down in any shape or form. He's looked quite confident.
Now here's Mick O'Driscoll. Hammers into Hugh Bennett. O'Leary's kick chased by Phillips. O'Driscoll has it. And back we go. We heard the referee saying carried back in, straight into touch, so no gain of ground for Munster.
Yeah, that one just slightly overcooked, and you can see Tomás O'Leary is trying to take a bit of pressure off Doyle there, taking the responsibility for the kicking game on himself, as Dowling waits for another 4 minutes, I think, in the bin.
The home fans raising their voices, trying to lift their team, sensing that this is a crucial phase of the game. Bigger, Tia. Good tackle from Conan Doyle. Bigger goes a little bit deeper. Shane Williams puts on the brakes, perilously close to touch. He was met by Dennis Hurley. Phillips goes for and finds Jonathan Thomas. Ospreys could do with some quick ball. Phillips. Alan Wynne-Jones against Paul O'Connell. Great work again from the Munster captain, forcing the penalty, and that's a big turnover again.
That's great defence from Munster and great communication there from O'Connell and O'Callaghan earlier on. Not quite sure what he was doing there, Paul O'Connell, in taking that one on. Certainly the players around him didn't seem to be aware of what he was doing, but his work rate tonight has been phenomenal, and he really is the talismanic figure in this Munster pack. He's been in the heart of everything that they've done tonight, and he's really led by example. He may have a think about that one when he looks at it again.
Well, still full of adrenaline, perhaps. Not the wisest of options, but they've got away with it. And it's a good time to tell you of more live sport coming your way on Setanta over the coming days. After the FA Cup last week, we're back to the bread and butter of Premier League. Arsenal versus Bolton from 2:30 tomorrow. Big evening game as well. Stoke City against Liverpool from 5:30. And then we're back to the Magners League tomorrow night. Cardiff, the visitors to the home of the champions, Leinster at the RDS on Setanta Sports 1 from 7 o'clock. Do join us for all those matches. Good take from O'Sullivan. Back in comes Flannery. Ospreys pulling it down. Can Munster spin away? Flannery trundles on, helped out by O'Connell. In goes Tia. Pucciarello this time. Met with a good tackle from Alan Wynne-Jones and forced backwards, but it's good continuity now from Munster. Donnacha O'Callaghan takes it on this time. O'Leary now spots a little bit of gap in behind, and that's a very, very good kick. That's a very useful kick.
Well, it's far more intelligent play by Munster. They know their attacking options out wide with Dowling off or restricted, and they're just playing with their heads. It's smarter rugby than we saw last week.
Ospreys not hanging around. Phillips' kick is drifting infield, where it finds Dennis Hurley, who returns it up to the heavens, and it's dropping right on the 22. Tom Smith made a bit of a mess of it, really, trying to stay inside the 22 when really it's dropping. Well, he just ended up, he was not close enough to it.
Yeah, he just gave himself far too much to do there. It was a very good kick from Hurley, and he chased well. And I think Munster, they're cutting their cloth given the situation that they find themselves in at the moment. They were under pressure there for periods in that second half, particularly when Shane Williams broke out there, but they've reacted well. They've come back. They've varied their game quite well, and their kicking game has been far better this evening.
He's been a great servant to Munster rugby. Pucciarello in his fifth season now. The man from Argentina, capped 8 times by Italy. Yellow carded in that match last week against Ulster. The band pick up again. 1 point game. The bookies said it was going to be tight. They had the Ospreys as 2-point favourites. It was Munster who led by 2 at half time. Now in arrears by only 1, and well, it's the kind of match, high intensity match, where we expected it to be so close between the top 2 sides. And It's still very much in the balance. Tomás O'Leary breaks away and goes back inside looking for Wallace. We've seen him do real damage in the past from situations like that. O'Callaghan takes it on. Ospreys reluctant to commit too many numbers to the ruck, knowing that Munster can attack from all angles. On they go. 10 metres short. O'Connell. O'Driscoll goes in to help it back. John O'Sullivan. O'Driscoll and Flannery this time. Typical of Munster and their forwards. Now Tomás O'Leary thinks that they might have some space to work in. Maffey's already got one try. He tried to release Hurley on the second ball. Tomás O'Leary is in. Again, Lafemi Maffey heavily involved, and again we will go upstairs, but again it looks as though Tomás O'Leary may very well have scored a second try for Munster. The indication from Andy McPherson to Nigel Whitehouse: is there any reason I cannot award a try?
Yeah, and that's significant because he's happy that it's been grounded. It's a question of, did Maffey play it out of the tackle? I think that's maybe what he's asking the TMO to adjudicate on, because certainly Tomás O'Leary has grounded the ball.
Andy?
Yeah, Nigel.
Yeah, you may award the try.
Okay, thanks. Time on it.
Well, he didn't hang around, Mr. Whitehouse, and you knew from that the indication was going to be a Munster try.
Yeah, and full marks to Maffey. He was the one who roared in at Tomás O'Leary to come down the blind side when they would maybe have looked at the drop goal option. He roared at him for the ball. You see him sucking in the Ospreys defenders there. I think the only question was he held in the tackle? Referee happy with that, and I think that's the right call. Tomás O'Leary again having given the original pass, showing great pace to get in to support Maffey, and that really is a vital score at this stage of the game.
4-point lead now for Munster. 15 minutes or just under to go. Difficult kick for Doyle. Decent attempt, but it remains 22 points to 18, and we saw his physicality in defence in the first half, and we've seen again his raw speed of Tomás O'Leary.
And again you see Maffey lining up there, the call having gone in. He was happy that he could get in behind that Ospreys defence. Looked for Hurley outside him, or Barry Murphy, but managed then to get it back to the supporting O'Leary, and he really is a fantastic rugby player, O'Leary. I mean, his pace, his kicking game is superb, and defence, as we saw vitally in the first half here.
And Tomás O'Leary's reward for scoring a vital try is to be replaced by that man, Peter Stringer. An indication really of how important O'Leary may be to Munster in the coming weeks, with Heineken Cup coming up as well. Well, in fact, it's not Tomás O'Leary, because there he is in your picture just behind Barry Murphy, who breaks forward. Stringer has gone in to play scrum half. Munster back to 15, and Tandy with a minute and a half or so to serve of his time in the sin bin. On go Munster again. Tomás O'Leary's come out and looks as though he's now playing on the wing, which of course he's done many times in the past for Munster. And well, the discipline is a big question for the Ospreys now. It's another penalty for Munster.
And the Ospreys are the ones who were imploding there. Alan Wynne-Jones felt that he had the right to come through there, but the referee is saying he tackled a man without the ball. Had O'Connell the ball in possession, then he was able to tackle him. But again, a cheap penalty, and a big kick here for Conan Doyle, because if he could just manage to extend the lead up to 7, it would give them that little bit more breathing space.
Well, he's only 23, Alan Wynne-Jones, but he's 26 cap for Wales, and he should really know better than that. And Tomás O'Leary now is going to take over the kicking duties. He strikes it really well. Well, it's 3 more points for Munster. And well, we've had all kinds of enforced chopping and changing to the Munster line-out, but it matters not, because they now lead by 25 points to 18. And it looks as though Munster are going to get the kind of result that they so badly required after 2 defeats. And he's had a huge role, a huge hand in everything, Tomás O'Leary, tonight. Timmy Ryan is back on for Munster. Change in the front row as Pucciarello comes off.
Oh my God, I think Tony McGahan, that's the type of thing that really has a coach pulling his hair out. Again, a cheap penalty. John O'Sullivan making no effort to get out of the way there, taking out one of the Ospreys players. And, Munster just having extended their lead to 7 points, giving Hook an easy opportunity. You see John O'Sullivan there. He's nowhere near the ball, and he takes out Tia Tia.
There's plenty of rugby left in this one. Marty Holla is also on. Confirmation of that change on the Ospreys team. He's kicked so well tonight, James Hook, that you would back him to get this one. The one that he did miss was arguably his easiest kick of the night. Strikes it high and strikes it well. And it's a 4-point game. Ospreys back to within striking distance thanks to the trusty boot of James Hook. 21 points to Munster's 25, and it's ebbing and flowing. And we will play the last 10 minutes. Well, with Munster, so many positional switches. Tomás O'Leary now is in at fly half. Doyle has gone off. Warwick replaced early in the game, you remember, with a slight concussion after a knock to the face. All kinds of questions being asked now of Munster. Lee Byrne takes it well and skips past Dowling on his own 10-metre line. Munster fighting for everything. Johnny Vaughton indicating it should be Osprey's ball, and the assistant referee over on that far side agrees.
Use the line, use the line.
Yeah, well, you can see why people found it so difficult to separate these two sides before the game. Nothing between them. But Tomás O'Leary now playing at 10 finishes off a scenario where he's now played in every position in the back line for Munster. The last time I saw him play out half was in a schools final for CBC a number of years ago.
Well, versatility is a godsend tonight, it would seem, for Munster. And if they can get out of here with their first ever win at Liberty Stadium, they will go into the break for the European Cup and the start of the Six Nations on top of the Magners League table, where they spent the greater part of the early season after 7 straight wins. Hugh Bennett. They go way to the back, and there's nobody there apart from Wallace for Munster. That's the first really poor line out from the Ospreys. Communication all wrong. Gift for David Wallace. Can Munster punish the Ospreys? Flannery takes it on. Getting through as well, Jerry Flannery. But penalised. Tackle was made, and Flannery thought he could continue.
You made a good 2 or 3 yards. Why are you there?
I think more importantly, looking at next week, Tony McGahan is taking the opportunity of looking at Tomás O'Leary because, as I said in the first half, I'm not so sure that Conan Doyle is registered for Heineken Cup rugby, and therefore it could well be that Tomás O'Leary, if Warwick is out and Manning is out, would be the one that would be the cover for Ronan O'Gara.
Well, it looks very much as though that's what McGahan is thinking, because there seemed to be no evidence really that Doyle was injured when he came off.
Yeah, and it's definitely no slight on Doyle. I think it is more looking forward to the permutations for next week.
Flannery stands over. 6.5 minutes or thereabouts to play at Liberty Stadium, and it's a big 6.5 minutes in Munster's season, and for the Ospreys as well. 4 points the margin, and crucially it's Munster coming looking for more. And again on their own ball, coming in off their feet, conceding the penalty and giving the Ospreys the chance to clear.
And you see that so many times this season. It's the team in possession are the ones that are now penalised more often at the breakdown, and that is why you don't see the continuity of ball retention that you saw in that famous Clonettley game last year, that you saw in the final against Toulouse in that final 7 or 8 minutes, because referees now, they are just focusing on the team in possession. Players before, if they went off their feet to try and seal the ball from the opposition, that is now being penalised.
Bennett delivers, and it's well taken by Lyndon Bateman, who's back in. Another player on the Ospreys team recovering from an injury. Munster again working tirelessly at the breakdown, trying to make it so difficult for the Ospreys. Crossing this time from the Ospreys, and it's Munster ball, and this will eat up the seconds, and it should eat up the territory as well. He's toiled and travailed tonight, Tia. He's up against a good Munster back row. Wallace has been dominant throughout.
Yeah, Wallace has been superb, as you say, and we saw earlier on in the night referee penalising David Wallace for running in front of one of his own players. Again, Alan Wynne-Jones being penalised for the exact same offence, and really, if Munster can keep their head, I think to come out of here in the circumstance of the injury to Warwick, it really would be a tremendous victory.
Well, they came in search of a morale-boosting display, and it looks as though they might just get it, and it'll be all the more satisfying given what's happened in terms of injuries. Sail the visitors to Thomond Park in Limerick next week, followed by a trip to Montauban, and then they have to wait until the 21st of February, Munster, to resume the Magners League at Musgrave Park against Edinburgh. Flannery, Tomás O'Leary ships a big tackle, but manages to get it back, and there it is for Stringer. Paul O'Connell, huge game from the captain. Stringer with quick ball to Flannery, trying to get away from Hook. Mick O'Driscoll. Possession absolutely a premium, and Munster crucially knocking it on and handing it back to the Ospreys.
Yeah, but crucially they have eaten up again another 3-4 minutes there, and you have to say tonight the big players from Munster, Donegal O'Callaghan, Paul O'Connell, David Wallace in particular up front, the three of them have been superb, back to the form that one expects of them, really committing themselves, and that's made a huge difference to the performance. Well, it's a
tenuous advantage, 4 points with 2.5 minutes to go. What a display it's been from Tomás O'Leary. Score of Munster's second try tonight. Kicked a penalty as well, saved a certain try when it looked like Johnny Vaughton would bring the Ospreys right back into the match. Munster go early. They'll have to reset.
And Timmy Ryan is having to play on the loose head side. He's more at home, certainly at tight head, but he's doing quite well there at the moment.
There it is for Phillips. Do the Ospreys have something left in the locker? Dan Bigger. Again, Munster contesting, advantage to the Ospreys. Through comes John O'Sullivan. That could be the end of his night.
Yeah, the problem is with guys like Lee Byrne and Shane Williams, they have this capacity to score from anywhere.
Again, it's gone forward. First from a Munster hand this time. I have to say it looked absolutely nailed on as though Andy McPherson was going for his pocket for the infringement by O'Sullivan. Then play carried on.
Yeah, the Ospreys crowd here really incensed by Munster, if you like, slowing down possession. John O'Sullivan making things awkward for Shane Williams to take that tap and go.
It's just keeps falling out.
This problem with the referee's communication equipment certainly is no help to the Ospreys, because you know, they are mindful one score could win it for them, and you know, they certainly have the personnel to achieve that. But Munster's defence certainly up to it here.
Andrew Bishop, certainly one of the standout players on the Ospreys team tonight. Is he going to finish up on the losing side though? Mike Phillips. Munster sticking to their task. Nick O'Driscoll putting in the tackle. Penalty right on halfway. And this should offer the Ospreys one last final chance. If Hook can deliver this down to around the Munster 22, will then this game anything but over.
Yeah, Hook with no choice has to go for the corner here. The Ospreys line out has been good for the majority of the game. Hugh Bennett coming back into the side there. He had one or two blips since he's come in, but that really is a fantastic kick from Hook. He couldn't have got any more out of it, and he's brought them within 5 metres of the Munster line.
Well, I said the Munster 22, thinking that Hook might just take 5 or 10 metres off it to be sure he found touch. Absolutely not. He's drilled it into the corner.
Well, that's a fantastic kick.
Pressure, pressure, pressure for Munster. Tia. Phillips had to be alive. Good take from the scrum half. It may not have been the best option from Tia, but it's worked out for the Ospreys. Tom Smith is over it. Inside the Munster 22. Big moments these for both teams, and it's Tia who knocks on him. That may just be that. The scoreboard reading Munster 25, Ospreys 21. The clock, more importantly, goes red. We're over the 80 minutes. Oh dear from Tia. He can't believe it.
Well, he's won so many games for the Ospreys over the last number of seasons, for him to knock on. But again, the Ospreys, that attacking line-out, they do 2 pods of 3. We saw Justin Marshall coming through the middle so many times when he was scrum half here, but Munster read exactly what was happening, and Mike Phillips was blown out. Great defence, and really you just feel that Peter Stringer or Tomás O'Leary, all they have to do is get the ball off the field.
Well, beaten for the first time in over 20 years by Connacht down in Galway, and then at Thomond Park in Limerick, conceding 5 tries against Ulster. The Munster players felt embarrassed by that, and they react by coming to Liberty Stadium in Swansea, to the home of the Ospreys, where they've never won before. Well, strike that from the record, because thanks to a second half try from Tomás O'Leary and a penalty from the scrum half, who was then playing at fly half, Munster get their first win in the league in Swansea. Maffey with a try in the first half. And it's Munster who will go into the 6-week break on top of the Magners League. A famous win for Paul O'Connell's team. The final scoreline, Ospreys 21, Munster 25.
Thanks, Conor. Thanks, Donal. Wow, a Munster victory that was achieved against the odds after Paul Warwick's first half withdrawal. But it was Tomás O'Leary who finished the game at number 10, who delivered the game's telling score. Munster top of the table. Analysis next.